All right. So in this chapter, it's about not getting confused with the question. Okay. So there are two theorems here: remainder theorem and factor theorem, which are opposite of each other. Okay. Now, for example, suppose you have a polynomial with the maximum power of 3. Okay. Like this 6x cubed minus 3x squared plus 8x minus 5. This is a polynomial. Poly means more than 3. Okay. So here, how many terms are there? There are 4 terms, and the maximum power is 3. Okay. So it's a polynomial with um, maximum power 3. Now, suppose this polynomial, okay, we represent this polynomial as f of x. 6x cubed minus 3x squared plus 8x minus 5. If you're dividing this polynomial with some expression like x plus 3, okay, so normally we would do how? We'll do like this, write this whole f of x over here and x plus 3 over here, and then divide it. And what do we get is we get a quotient and we get a remainder, right? So this remainder theorem tells you an easier way to get the remainder. How is it, Arush? You know, to get this remainder, what you have to do? Beryl, you want? Okay, so we take this divider, okay, which is x plus, what is it? X plus 3. And then we write it as x plus 3 equal to 0 and find x. So x will be what? If we take the plus 3 to the right, x will be
minus 3.
minus 3. Now to find the remainder, you just have to do f of minus 3. Then f of minus 3 will be the remainder. That's what remainder theorem tells. Raman? Okay, so instead of doing the whole division with x plus 3 and doing all those steps and then finally getting the remainder, you can directly get the remainder in one step just by finding f of minus 3. Is that clear? Okay, so we have f of x. We have to find f of minus 3, which means in place of x, you have to put minus 3. So that will become 6 into minus 3 cube minus 3 into minus 3 square plus 8 into minus 3. How many following? Minus 5. All right, so that will be 6 into minus 3 cube is minus 27. Negative number, if you cube, it will remain negative. Minus 3 into plus 9. Negative into minus. So when you square it, it becomes positive. When it is cube, it becomes negative. Yes, odd number negative, even number positive. Then 8 into minus 3. I'll write it as it is now, so that everything matches. Okay, and the next step, I'll remove all the brackets. So then multiply all this, and you'll get the remainder. Okay, so this is the gist of what is there in this remainder theorem. Okay, so what does remainder theorem state? There's a theorem. Let's read it here. If f of x, okay, a polynomial in x, that means a polynomial made of x's, is divided by x minus a, then the remainder is what? F of a. Right, that minus a, when you take it to the right side, it becomes plus a. So that's the remainder, f of a. Okay. Now, what if x plus 3 is a factor of this? You know, it's a factor, no? For example, I'm dividing 12 divided by 2. Now, is 2 a factor of 12? Factor means, can you divide 12 with 2? Or in other words, in 2's table is 12 coming. So 2 is called a factor. Now, if 2 is a factor of 12, what will be the remainder? 0, right? Same way here also. If x plus 3 is a factor of this polynomial, the remainder will be 0. Okay? So that is also one concept used in this exercise, first exercise. Any doubts in remainder theorem? Let's read that once again. If f of x, a polynomial in x, is divided by x minus a, then the remainder will be f of a. Now let me give you some dividers. What is this? Divisor? And you tell me what the remainder will be. Okay. Suppose I'm dividing with x plus 3, then what's the remainder? I'm dividing like this with x plus 3. What's the remainder? No, f of minus 3. If I'm dividing with x minus 3, what's the remainder? Okay, now I won't say the word remainder. You will say the word remainder. If I'm dividing with x plus 2, then loudly, I can't hear you. What? What about? The remainder is f of minus 2. Okay. Yeah, if you're dividing with x minus 2, then remainder is f of 2. Suppose I'm dividing with x plus 5, then the remainder f of minus 5. If I'm dividing with 3x plus 2, then the remainder is, huh? Yeah, it'll be f of minus 2 upon 3. Do you understand? You take the plus 2 on the right, then the 3 down. 4x minus 1. Then remainder is 1 upon 4. Okay? Okay. So let's do a few questions from this exercise. Sometimes they'll ask you to find the remainder, like how I've done over here. We are finding the remainder. Sometimes they'll tell you that x minus 2 is a factor of this. So what does it mean now? Suppose x minus 2 is a factor of this polynomial, then what does it mean? Huh? But since it's a factor, what do we know? The remainder will be 0. And how do we represent the remainder? F of 2. No, if x minus 2 is a factor, f of 2 is a remainder. So the remainder will be 0. Understand? So how do you write this? First, you have to write take f of x is equal to this one, like how I wrote over here. F of x is equal to the polynomial. Then you write according to remainder theorem, if f of x is divided with x minus 2, then the remainder is equal to f of 2. Understood? Is either as a statement. First you, okay, what is the first statement? First statement is, what is f of x? Take f of x is equal to, we're solving this 2, 1. Take f of x is equal to 5x square plus 15x minus 50. Now, if f of x, tell me, is, or according to remainder theorem, yeah, start with that. According to remainder theorem, if f of x is divided with x minus 2, the remainder is f of 2. Okay, and here you'll write f of 2 is equal to 0 because x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, and then you write f of 2 is equal to and put the values here. Solve this one. What is 35? You should get 0. No, but what you have to find? Ah, they're just saying show that.
0.
Yeah. Okay, this when you solve it, you should get 0. Because that's what it's saying. No, x minus 2 is a factor. What if you didn't get 0? What if f of 2 became something else, like 5 or something? What does it mean? It means that's the remainder. F of 2 is 5, and that means x minus 2 is not a factor. If it is a factor, the remainder has to be what, Aman? The remainder has,
0.
if something is a factor, remainder has to be 0. So here you are getting what? 5 into 4. Okay. That's 20 plus 30 minus 50. So that is coming to 0. Okay. Now a little more complicated question. Same theorem. Look at this. 15th question. The polynomials, this and this, there are two polynomials. So first one we'll take it as f of x. Second one, what should we take it as? Huh? G of x. We can't change the x because both have x. Okay, so if there are two polynomials, one is f of x, one is g of x. Okay, this is the polynomial. F of x is the first polynomial, g of x is the second polynomial. Now it's saying they leave the same remainder when divided by x minus 2. Find the value of a. So there's a missing variable a in both the equations. So what is it saying? If you divide with x minus 2, both of them leave the same remainder. So for the first expression, what is the remainder? According to remainder theorem, how do you find the remainder? If f of x is divided, if f of x is divided with x minus 2, what's the remainder?
2.
2, wrong. What's the remainder? F of 2. Huh. And if g of x is divided with the same x minus 2, what's the remainder? G of 2. Right. And according to this question, what does it say? The remainder is same. That means what is same here?
0 is
0 is same.
no, 0 is
0 means the x minus 2 is a factor. Here it's not saying x minus 2 is a factor. There is a remainder. And it's telling that both of them will leave the same remainder. So that means what two are same? Got it? Wait. Then f of 2 and g of 2 are the same. F of 2 is the remainder. G of 2 is this one's remainder. And the question says that both the remainders are same. Right. So f of 2 is equal to g of 2. Understand? That is your equation. In place of f of 2, you'll write this whole equation f with 2 in place of x, and for g, you'll write this. Is that clear? Okay. Don't need to solve it now. You go home and solve it, but write this much. I'll just explain one or two more questions from this. You have tried this, okay? Whenever you're doing the sum, according to remainder theorem, when f of x is divided with this, the remainder is this. Okay, next question number 16. Just tell me what's the equation or what better than anyone. Tell everyone. Okay, 16th one. If x minus 2 is a factor of the expression, Ahmed, what are you doing? Okay, if x minus 2 is a factor of the expression, that means what? Yes, you're not telling. Huh? I can't hear you, Harsh. Yes, f of 2 is the remainder. And what is the remainder? X minus 2 is a factor. F of 2 is equal to 0. F of 2 is the remainder, and the remainder is 0. Why is the remainder 0? Because x minus 2 is a factor. Okay. Next. And when this expression, same expression, is divided with x minus 3, the remainder is 52. That means, boys, tell me, f of 3 is equal to 52. You understand? So like this, with the first you'll get one equation, second you'll get one equation, and both the equation has a and b missing values. So you'll get two equations which you have to solve simultaneously to find a and b. You know simultaneous equations? 9th standard. All right. So what's your first equation? F of 2. F of 2 means 2 into. See, before this you have to write. take f of x is equal to this, okay? And then you will write according to remainder theorem, this. Just like how you wrote for the previous one. First you will write what is f of x. Then you will write the theorem. Then only you will start doing all this. Okay. Anyway, I'm just going ahead. So what will happen over here? F of 2 is equal to 0. In place of this equation. Okay, what is f of 2? Right, like this. F of 2 is equal to 2 into 2 cube, whole thing like that, is equal to 0. Because that's a remainder. Remainder is f of 2, which is 0. So this is the part that you will be solving. This is what will make your equation. Okay. Same way for the second equation also you have to do. F of 3 is equal to, write the whole equation again, 2 into 3 square and so on is equal to 52. So this will be your second equation. Solve both the equations simultaneously. Is everyone clear on this? Sure. Okay. Let's go to the next exercise, which is factor theorem. So if remainder theorem, what did it say? Remainder theorem, suppose you're dividing a polynomial f of x with x plus 3. Then what did remainder theorem say? According to remainder theorem, f of minus 3 is equal to 0. This is remainder theorem. Now what is factor theorem? It is the opposite. Factor theorem is like this. If f of minus 3 is 0, then x plus 3 is a factor.
Factor.
Correct or not? Okay, once again, according to remainder theorem, if you're dividing f of x with x plus 3, then f of minus 3 is not 0. F of minus 3 is a remainder. When is f of minus 3 0? When f of x plus 3 is a factor. Okay, and factor theorem, it's saying like this. If f of minus 3 is coming 0, that means what? X plus 3 is a factor. This is the remainder, no? Right. So remainder came 0. Why? Because x plus 3 is a factor. So just the opposite, okay? Suppose f of minus 2 upon 4 is 0. What does it mean? According to factor theorem,
4x plus 2
4x plus 2 is equal to 0.
is a factor.
Is a factor.
Is that clear, everyone? How to write remainder theorem and factor theorem? Okay, so using the remainder theorem, factorize each of the following completely. Okay, so you're using both the remainder theorem, factor theorem, both ways. Okay, now this is the expression with the highest power of 3. Okay? In 9th standard, you had something called trinomials. Trinomials had maximum power of 2, and we solved that using that sum and product, right? Like how we solve quadratic equations. So this has one extra term, the x cube term, right? So to factorize this, see, if you have an x square term, x square plus 3x plus 4, for example, how many factors you will get? If you
Two factors.
you'll get 2 factors, like this you get. Okay. In this, you have x cube plus some x square plus some x plus some number. How many factors you'll get in this?
3 factors.
Get 3 factors. Okay. So the number of factors is based on the power. There's a name for this. The highest power, it's called something. Forgot. Anyone remembers? No. Anyway, whatever the highest power is, no, that many factors you will get. So here, power is 3, so you will get 3 factors. Now, how do you find the first factor, second factor, and then third factor? How do you find the first factor? First factor is just hit and try method. You keep adding one number in place of x, right? So first you will take x is equal to 1, okay, and then put 1 in place of x. So find f of 1, that is 3 into 1 cube plus 2x square minus 19 and sorry, you understand the point? In place of x, you'll put 1. Okay, so yeah, that's 3 plus 2 minus 19 plus 6. How much is that? Is that 0? So it's not equal to 0. You don't need to write the exact value. You'll just write not equal to 0, which means f of 1 is not 0. And what, according to factor theorem, what does it say? If f of 1 is not 0, what does it mean? What is not a factor? X minus 1 is not a factor, right? So like this, we're finding a factor by trying different values of x. First, we'll try 1, minus 1, 2, minus 2, 3, minus 3. That's all. It should come in this numbers. What are the numbers you're going to try, Aman? 1, minus 1, 2, minus 2, 3, minus 3. One of these 6, you will get it, okay? Now, most of them you can do on the mind, especially for the ones, you can do it in the mind itself. You don't need to write it, okay? And just write whatever is the one that you might think it's coming. So if you put minus 1 here, okay. If it's more easier to do in the calculation, do it. Okay. Sometimes if it's all plus, 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 it's easier to do it in the mind. If there's minuses, then it gets a little confusing. Okay, what about take x is equal to minus 1? So f of minus 1 is equal to 3 into minus 1's. What do you think? Minus 3? No, it'll become, no, this is minus 3, this will become plus, this will become plus, this will become plus. Too many pluses. Okay. Now we'll try 2. X is equal to 2. 2 into 2 cube is how much?
Yes, sir.
8. 8 threes are okay. So 8 twos are 16 plus 4 minus, oh wait, what am I doing? I'm doing the wrong one. Yeah, 2 cube is 8. 8 threes are 24 plus 8 minus 38 plus 6. 24 plus 8, 32. 32 plus 6, 38. 38 minus 38, 0. Okay, so then we write this. Take x is equal to 2. So f of 2 is equal to this. Then you solve it and you're getting 0. Now, that means what? According to which theorem? See, we got something. We got f of 2 is equal to 0. So according to factor theorem, since f of 2 is equal to 0, therefore x minus 2 is a factor of f of x. Polynomial is called f of x, right? Okay, so we got one factor. How many factors we need? We need 3 factors. Okay, so your next step is to do this long division method. Okay, the whole polynomial divided with your first factor. What's the first factor? X minus 2. Okay, so this is one method to do it, which is called the long division method. The other method is the shorter method. It is called the synthetic division. Okay, you're not supposed to use. You can use. You can use. It won't come in what? It's your choice which one you want to use. Okay, you can use either long division or synthetic method. Now, long division is longer. Synthetic division is very short, very fast. Okay, so we'll see both. What, Arush? You're wasting time. You don't have time in exam. Why you want to do both? So you have to, in maths exam, you have to find the shortest method to get the answer. Okay, so you will not do this long method. You will use the shortest method. Okay, so I think even I will skip this because there's no need to do this method. Right? You want to see how to do it? No? Yes? No? What is this? No? Okay. So synthetic division. How do you do synthetic division? So write all the coefficients of these numbers. That is 3, 2, minus 19, 6. Okay. And here you will write the value of x, not minus 2, but 2. Okay. First step is what? I always forget the first step. Write this 2 here, right? And then add this. Yeah. Okay. 3 plus 2. I hope it comes. 3 plus 2. 5. Okay, then you multiply 5 into 2. Is it like this? No, it's not like this. Starting is, huh? Yeah, no, the first step is to write this 3 only down, I think. Let's see. 3 twos are 6. Then 2 plus 6, 8. Then 8 into 2, 16. Then minus 19 plus 16 is minus 3. And then minus 3 into 2, minus 6. And then add this 0. Yeah, this is the answer. You should get 0 at the end here. Okay. So remember, your first step is to just write this 3 itself down. Then you multiply 3 into 2, 6. Then add these two. Then 8 into 2, 16. Then add those two, multiply. Okay, this is long division. I mean, synthetic division. Now, these are the coefficients. So 3 stands for 3x square. This is plus 8. Plus 8 is for the x, and the minus 3 is the number term. See, we got a trinomial now. X square, x, and number term. Are you heard about it? Sure? You're not listening when I was explaining. Then you'll be confused. Okay, so we got our second factor. The first factor was x minus 2. The second factor is this big one. This is what will come here on top. When you do division here, you'll get this 3x square plus 8x minus 3. Okay. Now, but this factor is a trinomial. So now you have to factorize this trinomial using the sum and product. Right? Sum is equal to the coefficient of x, that is 8. And the product is what? 3 into minus 3. You have to multiply this first term with the last term. That's minus 9.
Minus 9.
Now tell me, what is the two terms? Huh? 9 and 1? 9 minus 1. Right, 9 minus 1 is 8. 9 into minus 1 is minus 9. So then you'll factorize this. That is 3x squared plus 8 will be written as plus 9x minus 1x. And then minus 3. Right? So from this common is 3x. So there is x plus 3. From here nothing is common. So you write the minus and 1. Then x plus 3. So you have 3x minus 1, x plus 3. See, we have split this trinomial into two factors. So we have got all our factors now. X minus 2 is the first factor, second factor, third factor. That's your final answer. So finally, you need to write the whole question. That is, 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 19x plus 6 is equal to all these three factors. X minus 2 into 3x minus 1 into x plus 3. This is the final answer. Is that clear? Okay. So you can think of this as 3 steps in this. The first step is to get the first factor. The second step is this synthetic division or the long division method to get this big factor. And the third step is to factorize that to get 2 more factors. Correct? So 3 steps. Now in some questions, they will give you 1 factor, which means you can skip the first step because you already got a factor. You can directly start the long division or the synthetic division method. See, now sometimes they'll give you 2 factors and then tell you to find the third factor. Like look at this 5th question. Given that x minus 2 and x plus 1 are factors of this expression, calculate the values of a and b. Okay, so how will you do this? Yeah, you'll get 2 equations simultaneously. You have to solve it. Right? Since x minus 2 is a factor, therefore what? f of 2 will be 0. This is from the previous chapter actually, remainder theorem. Or it's actually, see, sometimes we say remainder theorem, sometimes we say factor theorem. So these are factors, no? So this is which theorem? If they have given the factors, what is remainder theorem? Okay, remainder theorem is to find a remainder. Factor theorem is to find a factor. So here they have given factors and we're finding the remainder. So it is remainder theorem. In this question, we found a factor. So this is factor theorem. So you should know when to use the word remainder theorem, when to use the word factor theorem. Okay, we'll stop with this chapter, okay?